If you are old enough to remember life before smartphones and the time of CDs, speaking of which, you might remember a time where these kinds of sounds were everywhere. These are kids, right? Playing in the street, climbing trees, playing tag, all with minimal adult supervision. Well, Winnipeg parent Kaleigh Quinn is our next guest. She was one of those kids as well. She says she wants this for her kids too. And she's hoping to get her whole neighborhood on board. Kaleigh sits on the parent advisory board of Laura Secord School in Winnipeg's Wolseley neighborhood. And she's here to tell us about a neighborhood initiative to get kids off their phones and out into the quote unquote real world. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
So let's zero in on the goal to help increase childhood independence. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, well, I think there's, been a loss of independence, of freedom, of outdoor playtime for children over the past few decades, and it's sad. It's a loss to not hear those sounds of kids playing in the neighborhood and having some freedom and having some opportunity to develop competence and skills and build some independence.
Yeah, this idea, we're about to elaborate on what the idea is to get the kids in the real world, but it all started with a book, actually, that I understand you were reading at a book club. It's called The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. So tell me a little bit about this book club and also what Haidt says in the book.
Yeah, so our neighborhood, our street has we have a book club, and every couple months we choose a new book. And over the summer we had chosen this book by Jonathan Haidt. And really one of the main premises of this book is over the past 15 years since the introduction of smartphones, we've lost we've lost some really essential element in our childhoods. We have more phone-full childhoods and less playful childhoods. And so what he's encouraging parents to do is to lean into how we can make our children's childhoods more phone-free and playful.
So you were reading this book and all talking about it, and then I understand you brought it. You took it. The next step was you took it to a parent council meeting at Laura Secord, and you met the superintendent.
Well, so at the first parent council meeting of the year, the actually school administrator shared a summary of the book, and he mentioned that, this was required reading by all school administrators in the Winnipeg School Division, and so it had been required by the superintendent. So we had shared a summary of the book, and it just was a coincidence that our book club, which all contains members who are also parents, also of children at that school, so we had read it also over the summer, just coincidentally. And so it just was a perfect opportunity for us to discuss, well, what are some of the ways that we can implement Haidt's recommendations into our school and into our families and into our community?
Very cool. Okay, so that super is Matt Henderson. Now let's get to some of the solutions then that Haidt offers and what you're doing to implement some of these principles.
Sure. So Haidt's main premise is that this is a really challenging problem to solve, this idea of phone use in kids and screen use in kids, a really challenging problem to solve in isolation, but a really easy problem to solve in community. And so he really encourages parents to come together in community to look at how to limit and delay offering their children smartphones and social media access until our children are 16, how to encourage outdoor free playtime, how to encourage independence in our children, and how to really work together in community to solve this.
And you had a community meeting actually to talk about it on the 22nd of January with I think about 100 parents, 100 teachers and interested community members came. What kinds of ideas were discussed?
Yeah, it was a really wonderful event. So we had an opportunity to discuss what are our priorities for what we want to see changing in our school and in our community. And so increasing outdoor time for learning and for play during school was a huge one, decreasing some individual screen use in school, creating a free play group for after school for kids to participate in, making agreements to delay smartphone use and social media use for our kids, and then finding ways to foster independence and competence in our kids through opportunities like the Let Grow experience.
Can you explain the Let Grow initiative?
Yeah, so the Let Grow initiative is basically the premise is that schools can bring it in as a project, as a school project, and kids can choose a task that that they have never done before. So something in the real world, like go take their dog for a walk, run an errand, make a meal, and the idea is they confer with their parents and they decide with their parents, but they do it without their parents.
Love that. Now you can share some a specific example that you did with your daughter, Kaleigh, right? So what did you go for?
Well, she wanted to try making pancakes by herself, and it was messy, but really very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to try running an errand in our community. We have a really supportive, lovely block, and the book club that we have is one example of that, where we can, we're all supporting one another in the parenting journey.
Yeah. So where did you send her? How old is she? What was the errand that she ran?
So she's 7, and with a friend, she went down the block and she bought a cookie.
Nice. So what did she feel like when she came back? Like that she did that on her own?
Oh, they were beaming with pride. I mean, there was partly the excitement of the cookie in hand, but they were so proud of themselves for having accomplished this. And they had a little bump in the road with the ATM machine or the debit machine not working well, but it all worked out.
Well, it was her and a friend that went, right?
Yeah.
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 How did you prepare her before, giving her more freedoms, given that this was a new thing?
Yeah. So she comes with me to do similar tasks like that. She knows the route there. So she's practiced that kind of with me shadowing her, with me standing outside while she does it inside. So she's had that little bit of taste of freedom already, and then wanted to tackle it on her own or with a friend.
Yeah. What would you say to people listening this morning that are still just really concerned about safety when they think about sending their kids out even in community, or maybe doing something that they might, I don't know, maybe somebody might see cooking as even having some risk that they can't overcome? How would you reassure those parents?
Yeah, well, and this might be a neighborhood-specific, challenge too. So if you're worried about safety outdoors, then one of the reasons this is really cool to assign as a school project and encourage your school to take on is because it does cause a shift in the community that that everyone in the community will start seeing kids taking on some more initiative and more independence, and that we might see them walking a block or two without a parent right there with them, and that it kind of can start shifting our community to supporting each other and looking out for each other instead of surveilling and policing one another.
I love that.
And that we're really looking to our kids for what is the next step that they're ready for. So maybe it's making the batter instead of cooking on the stove first. So that's, look to them as well for their readiness.
I know that our sports reporter is waiting for me, but I have to ask this question because you used language there. You said instead of surveilling each other and, reporting each other. What's meant by that?
So instead of, looking out the window and why is that child, walking on their own, and where is their parent, and perhaps calling an agency that might police that, right? But instead, maybe just checking in, and we know, oh, hey, I know whose child that is. You can send them a text. Hey, where are they off to right now? Like, do you need me to help in any way? Or even just going out and chatting with the kid if you're worried, but that we're really leaning into that support and encouraging one another.
I love that this is happening in your neighborhood. Good luck with the rest of it. We'll have to check in as it gets even more, you get more involved and summer comes. And thank you so much for being on with us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That is Kaleigh Quinn. She's a parent who lives in Wolseley. She's also on Laura Secord Parent Advisory Council. If you're listening from your neighborhood or your town or your city in Manitoba, and you have something similar, or you want to share with us about how maybe your parents are also trying to come together, families coming together to give the kids more freedoms and feel confident, give us a call 788-3205.